I'm not going to say a step above Tren, but it's definitely a lot more manageable over Tren in terms of like not mental side effects, but it doesn't seem to be as harsh.
As an honorable mention, Dean, you've been running Dienolone.
I have, yeah, Dienolone.
So you're the only one who's used it. If we're talking about injectables, then spill the beans, because I haven't used it. And Kurt, did you use it?
Never.
Okay, so you can classify this one all by yourself.
Dienolone, in the scheme of it, if wherever we're going to place Tren, it's probably, I'm not going to say a step above Tren, but it's definitely one that is a lot more manageable over Tren in terms of like the not mental side effects, but it doesn't seem to be as harsh, but you still get the positive, glucocorticoid suppressive effects of it. I mean, between the two of them, I guess a good experiment would have been just to do the Dienolone by itself, but having to lean on the anchor of Tren, it's been 10 milligrams of each on training days. So what's that, 40 milligrams per week of both? I mean,
so exciting.
It's not massively exciting. If I could try and say, oh yeah, I'm going to do 100 milligrams every other day like Tren Ace, but the Dienolone definitely has had, when it went in the beginning, it definitely had a cosmetic benefit, in terms of like lower glucocorticoids, a drier physique. It came out when we went on vacation. It came out when I was away, and then when it went back in again, it's not something that went back in and all of a sudden your mood or your sleep or anything changed. So I'd probably, depend on who's going to be able to get access to it, because it is not the very easiest thing to get hold of. I got gifted 2 bottles, and I've literally just used coming to the end of 1 bottle for this whole prep. So that was what?
So modest.
The end of June to now, and that whole 10 milliliters have lasted. I'd probably put it like between A and S from a contest prep perspective. Obviously, I haven't used it from a muscle building point of view, but considering the sort of cycle setup of what I'm doing, it's definitely taken a lot of the brunt of the work of tissue retention. So from a cosmetic prep perspective, yeah, sitting between A and S. But again, it all depends on what we're going to classify Tren, because obviously Dienolone is the 2 double bonds. So I think it's the double bond between 4 and 5, and it's the double bond between 8 and 9 position. And then obviously Tren continues on and has the conjugated 3 unsaturated double bonds. So yeah, somewhere between A and S, but that's again anecdotal. I will have to try and swindle a bottle to perhaps offload, so one of you guys can experience and give your feedback.
I can look around and see if I can find it.
Yeah, I'm sure I can find something. And otherwise, I'll ask your guy to hook me up too. I'm sure they would be willing to help. So you're basically putting it at Primo and Winstraw level. Am I correct in that?
I would. I mean,
okay.
In terms of like how I approached my sort of prep stack, we have the 125 test to 300 Primo, and then the 10 milligrams Dienolone and Tren Ace went in, and that was 5 weeks out from that very first show, and it sort of stayed in up until we went on vacation. So it was 8 or 9 weeks total off for the 2 or 3 weeks vacation, and it's back in the last 4 or 5.
Right.
I'd have it. Yeah, adding that in with the test and Primo base just took the sort of contest prep element to another level.
Okay, you're making me very excited. Yeah, I would love to try this at one point.